Joining BYU Sports Nation now is our first guest of the day, Bryan Kehl. Bryan with a Y or Big B. Whatever you want today, man.
The only way. He's not here to defend himself, so.
Did you have a nickname at BYU?
I had a lot, actually. The coach, they'd call me Doctor. They'd call me Carlton, because I'd wear sweater vests.
Can you dance like Carlton?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Starburst. They call me Starburst because I wore bright colors.
Mm-hmm.
I had a number. Yeah.
It's Fast Friday. Whatever the nickname.
All of them varying levels of truthfulness.
Yeah. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. You got to get Tom Jones going.
Tommy Jones, man.
Bryan Kehl with us on Fast Friday, 6-year NFL veteran linebacker. Let's start with the Twitter question today, Bryan, and that is we're asking all of BYU Sports Nation, what % chance do you give BYU to go into Lincoln, Nebraska and win against the Cornhuskers, place they haven't lost a home opener in 30 years?
Okay. Percentages. I like our chances. I'm never going to bet against the Cougars, so I'm going to say 65.
I like that.
That's pretty high.
That's right around my neighborhood.
What makes you feel that way?
They're in transition, new coach, and we are just peaked. We're primed. We're hungry. We're angry about last year, and we got most of our pieces back. We got our leader back. He's going to be healthy, and I think I just like that. I like that matchup. Us hungry, mad, chip on our shoulder, a lot to prove, a lot of talent. Them in transition, et cetera, et cetera. So
I agree with you. I think it's the perfect time to play Nebraska.
Yeah.
I think week 2, 3, or 4 would be worse. I think Michigan would be perfect week 1.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's week 4.
Yeah.
I hope that Harbaugh and company don't figure things out. But you experienced that as a player. You came back off your mission. All of a sudden, Gary Croton was the head coach. Mm-hmm. Bronco Mendenhall was the head coach. What was the transition for you as a player like, and maybe that team?
I was thinking about it on the way down here, and we had some growing pains. We were really talented in 2005. We ended up going 6-6, and a lot of those games that we lost were close, and we had a chance to win, and we didn't. And the TCU game just killed us, 51-50.
Like a 4-hour, 20-minute game.
Yeah, I think it was the longest game ever. I think it was 4 hours 40.
It's not okay. It wasn't an official time, but it was.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So long.
If I remember, it was just under 5 hours.
Wow.
Overtime, lots of passes. We blew that game. We blew the Utah game. It was an overtime game. We played terrible in the first half. My point is we had the talent, we had the ability, but, we just kind of had to figure things out. And we figured it out the next year in 06 with a team that was basically identical talent-wise. But the results totally different. 6-6 versus 11-2. Yeah.
Is 2015 that way?
And Bronco learned things. He learned things in that his first game as head coach against Boston College. We lost 20-3, and we just played terribly. He learned things. Just coaching decisions. And anyway, there's transition. There's growing pains. They're going to be facing that, and we're going to be well oiled. So.
So when you went into 2006, did you know, okay, we're going to be really good this year?
Yeah, we were really confident. So in 05, we lost some close games, we won some close games, but what we did is we gained confidence. And even that last game, the bowl game against Cal, and it's not like Cal was some great team, but they're very talented.
They had Marshawn Lynch,
Justin Forsett,
exactly.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah,
all in that game.
They weren't a great team, but they had some powerhouse big hitters, okay? And we could have won that game. We're one play away from winning that game. And so anyway, it did two things for us, at least for me. It made us mad. It left a sour taste in my mouth that whole off season. And it just gave us a glimpse like, hey, we can be legit. And in 06, we turned it on.
Do you feel like BYU feels more pressure or Nebraska feels more pressure to win this opening game?
That's a tough question. I guess it depends on how you look at it. Nebraska is a storied program, and I'm sure. I guess on a national stage they would have more pressure because they're Nebraska. They're just one of those iconic
They're not supposed to lose to BYU in a
No,
home
not
opener.
at home. Yeah, I mean, they have that black shirt defense, and they just have tradition and history.
Good last year.
No, they've been bad
They were in the 50s in a lot of the major.
Been bad for the last
bad,
decade, really.
You know, I actually at the Redskins I was trying to count. I think there were 4 guys that played in Nebraska on the Redskins, and I used to tease them about their defense being, you know, what happened, guys? You guys used to be really good. But anyway, yeah, but they still have the history. They're going to have players. They're going to have playmakers. They're going to have talent. So it's going to be a great game.
It'll be interesting because I've been thinking about this the last couple days. In Taysom Hill's mind, was BYU 8-5 last year, or were they 4-0? Because he didn't play the rest of the season, right? So does Taysom Hill go into this game going, I've won my last 4 as a starter? Like I have the confidence to do it, or is it, well, you know, we're ticked because we were 8-5?
Taysom goes into this season with expectations and anger. I think he's mad. He's frustrated.
Totally
with
frustrated.
the way his career's gone, with his lame injuries, and he's fully confident in his abilities, and he knows what he can achieve. And I think he's hungry. The times that I've been around him and talked to him, and I'm excited to see him just unleash and do great things.
Bryan Kehl with us on BYU Sports Nation. It's a Fast Friday. Brian with a Y, which is why he's perfect for this show, right?
Why? Because I love you.
Hashtag this is why.
We've been talking a lot about the particulars of Nebraska football, and you mentioned kind of the disorganization, not disorganization, but you called it the transition.
Yeah.
I look at that team. Mike Riley is an entirely different style coach than Bo Pelini.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes a while for players to buy in. When you're recruited by a staff and recruited by a guy, and then you come in, all of a sudden Mike Riley's like, hey, neighbor, come on in. We're going to do some good stuff. He's a good football coach, but he's totally different. Okay? So I feel like BYU, with their 3-headed monster, is at a serious advantage. And this is the perfect time to play Nebraska. I almost feel like it's BYU against Texas last year. I know that Nebraska is probably a better team than Texas was last year, but how closely do you compare the two situations? Charlie Strong was in his first year. It was early at Texas to Mike Riley early at Nebraska.
Yeah, it's similar. And not to go back to where we were, but that just kind of made me think what you brought up, Gary Croton and Bronco Mendenhall, completely different coaching styles. The defense was already used to Bronco, obviously, but the offense wasn't. And a lot of those guys really kind of struggled when Bronco became the head guy. They were used to the relaxed, just kind of go with the flow way that Gary Croton did it, which has its place. And Croton's a great coach. I really liked him. But they were kind of in for a rude awakening when Bronco took over, and you know their constant water breaks at practice, and just kind of
And getting a water on my jersey.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but
Sounds like
they
you did.
they didn't quite practice the same way the defense did, and then. I kind of remember. I remember, because I had my first year. Croton was the head coach, and then I had spring before I left on my mission, and Bronco came in. His first got here as a D coordinator, and I remember it being very offense-defense, just kind of a divide. And when I got back and Bronco was the head coach, it wasn't like that. It wasn't kind of like this: two separate teams, two separate philosophies, two separate ways of doing things. It was more unified, and I mean the results. Look at the results.
So you talked about 05 to 06, largely the same team.
Yeah.
Changed things. I feel that in a similar way, 2014 to 15, there's a lot of guys coming back. Granted, the secondary, there were a bunch of guys that left, but besides that, most of the same linebackers, all the defensive linemen minus Marcus Johnson, a lot of the O-line, a lot of the. You lose some big weapons for sure, but. I feel some kind of similarity. I don't know if you agree with me. From 14 to 15. Mm-hmm. It's a tougher schedule.
Yeah.
But the opportunity is there to, okay, we're ticked. We're going to change this.
And all the experience that we got last year, it's going to be huge going into this year. These guys who got forced into playing time that they wouldn't have had because of the injuries. And I think it's going to pay dividends. And on top of that, we got our guys who are veterans, they're seasoned, and it's going to be really good.
Bronco Mendenhall, and we talked about this statistic in our opening segment. He has won 5 of his last 6 season openers against Power 5 teams. That list includes Oklahoma, Arizona, Washington, Washington State, and Ole Miss. The loss came against Virginia in 2013 in that weird, freakish storm game.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's the one loss.
Yeah.
Here we are, Bronco going up against a Power 5 team in a season opener. You've played under him in season openers. What makes him so good game planning after a long off season?
Bronco's one of those guys. He's so sharp in his attention to detail, and so I think if you have that extra time to prepare, there's a lot of guys who, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. As far as coaches or just people, I'll get to it. And Bronco's the guy. He's so disciplined and he's just so regimented. And I mean, I'm sure he's been breaking down Nebraska tape since January 1, or I don't know, when was the bowl game? The day after the bowl game, he probably came home, watched the bowl game, turned it off, and turned on Nebraska tape. I mean, I don't know what he did, but that's just the type of guy he is. And he's just relentless and just tireless. And I can't imagine how much time he's put into it. And, there's been X amount of months, and the average person is going to put in this much work in those months, and they're going to go play, and they're going to go hit the golf course, they're gonna hit the pool, they're gonna whatever. Bronco, he's just and he relaxes, he has recreation, he's a very big surfer, but he puts his work in.
When you look at the opportunity that BYU has in front of them, there's a ton of pressure on both teams to win this game. But when BYU goes into this game and game plans like Bronco Mendenhall does, what kind of difference will he make as the defensive coordinator, as a former player, where you say, okay, listen, there's tangible difference because Bronco is the guy in the room, the guy that they're accountable to now.
And I think that's the biggest thing as far as like the play calling or the actual schematic difference. I don't think there's that much to measure. There is. I think he has value there compared to another defensive coordinator, another play caller. I think he does have a leg up in that regard, and he does know X and O's, and he's sharp in that regard. But that's not his greatest asset, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. I think where he comes in is just the persona, just the excellence that he asks of himself and the demands of those that he's around. And it's like in any endeavor, whether it's football or cross-stitching or whatever it is, if you take a group of people and they have a leader, and the leader is charismatic and motivating and inspiring, then that guy is going to inspire that group of people to be better at whatever they're doing, cross-stitching or tackling football players. And so that's where it comes down to. That's my opinion. I think the fact that when he's in charge, everybody's performance increases because he has those characteristics in such abundance.
Former BYU linebacker, great All Mountain West Conference first-teamer, 6-year NFL veteran Bryan Kehl is on BYU Sports Nation on a Fast Friday. We're going to transition back now to something that one of Fox Sports college football insiders said yesterday, Bruce Feldman, and he's, not a ho-hum guy. He's got a big microphone. Yesterday, he picked Taysom Hill as his second-best bet to win the Heisman Trophy, meaning he likes his outside shot. He's a 50-1 odds, but he's like, I like Taysom Hill, what he brings to the table. In that same article, he says, if BYU were to go 4-0 in September, and then he says, which isn't that far-fetched, then goes on to say Hill would be a legitimate Heisman contender. Okay, I went back to the, 4-0, not that far-fetched? This is a national guy? What the heck is he talking about?
We're going to mail you some blue goggles,
yeah,
bro.
where are his blue goggles?
Welcome. Drink our Kool-Aid.
I mean, we're talking about a guy that has almost 250,000 followers on Twitter. Okay? What's your reaction to a guy with that much national clout saying it's not that far-fetched to BYU going 4-0 in September?
I couldn't agree more. And I think there's a lot of guys who are biased or prejudiced or BYU. But then there's other people who have maybe been here or watched us or know about our history and know about what we bring to the table, and they recognize that we can contend. And that's the thing. He didn't say we're going to go 4-0. He just didn't say, "Oh, there's no chance."
Saying he wouldn't be.
He
I wouldn't be surprised if they were 4-0 because of the Taysom Hill.
He's like, "Yeah, that could happen. They have the players. They have the horses to accomplish that." And so, hats off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yet I look at September and I go, okay, I got to put fandom aside. I got to put whatever. I'm going to just look at it, okay? 2-2 would be pretty good in that. Because at UCLA is the best team on BYU's schedule. At Nebraska, hopefully you catch them. Boise State, to me, is the second best team in September that BYU is going to play. Return everybody but the quarterback and running back, basically. What record do you think would be like, all right, that was par for the course for September?
Oh, I don't know, man.
You still have the player hat on. You're like, dude, we can.
I mean, I'm not happy unless we go 4-0.
You're not happy.
I'm mad.
You're not happy with 3-1?
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm more happy with that than I am with 2-2. So
Naturally.
1-3, I'm mad. 0-4, I'm like, come on, dude, what in the crap?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, we're going to come back with this. We're going to go through each of the first 4 games on September, and you're going to tell me win or loss. Okay? we're going through the first 4. And
Let me guess what he's going to say.
I think you know where this is going.
Listen, I want you to be able to
I
back
think
up
you know
these
where
things.
this is going.
We have to do it officially, and I want you to be able to back up why you did or didn't pick BYU to win each of those first 4
But here,
games.
I could be objective.
Okay, yeah, practice during the break, and then we'll come back with that.